Evening, folks. Welcome to the match day preview for Plymouth Argyle versus Leeds United. Again, how many times have we said that this season? Flying solo tonight, Andrew Stats Dalton is currently playing football with Danny Mills. What would you rather be doing? I wouldn't mind that myself. I'm asking Danny very nicely to be nicer about Leeds United if he can. Hope you're all doing really well. A couple people in chat. We'll get some chat tonight. I'm on my own, so you can keep me company. We won't do the whole intimate late night radio kind of stuff, but yeah, we'll have a quick chat. Back in the chat. How are you, Chewy? How's things? Connor Hemsworth, congratulations, 23K. Thanks very much, Connor, as well. Appreciate that. Yeah, we had 23,000 subscribers today, which is a massive milestone. The goal for this year by the end of the season was to hopefully get to 20,000 subscribers. We're at 23. A massive thanks again to everybody that has subscribed to the channel, who has liked the video, has watched the video. I've always say it, football is a subjective game and a game of opinion. So if we don't get along and we don't agree in the chat, it's fine. Game's opinion. We're supposed to disagree on some things, and that's okay. Debate is good. I hope you're all having a lovely evening as well, having a good week. Yeah, we had the news out this morning, just some interesting bits about Rafinha, and that you can check that out. If you haven't already seen that today, that is available on the channel. You can go check it out. We'll do the usual stuff. We'll go through the form guide for the game. We'll go through some interesting stats. I will do my best Andrew Dalton impression tonight and try and make sure that I get some of the stuff that Andrew normally covers covered in tonight's chat as well. We'll do our best with that as well. To start off with a couple of things, we'll start off with the form guide. Leeds, 5 wins from the last 5 league games, 7 wins on the spin for Leeds United in the calendar year, unbeaten since the turn of the year, which has been a fantastic run. If you think back to Daniel Farke's history with Norwich, the 2 seasons they got promoted between this point and the end of the season were when he had his best runs as a manager. So he knows what he's doing. He has the experience of this time of the year to put himself in a really strong position to push on. In terms of Plymouth sitting in 15th position in the league, 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws in their last couple of matches, last 5 games. Interesting one on this as well. They draw against Coventry at the weekend. Liam Kitching, former Leeds United under 21 player, who got the goal in that game. Interesting conversation happening around Liam Kitching as well at the moment. Leeds did release the player and he went down the divisions to non-league and down to the National League, and then he came back up through Forest Green Rovers and then was signed by Coventry, and he's been one of the standout centre-backs in the division this year. One of the publications in the UK have been talking about the fact that Leeds probably made a mistake letting him go. If you look at what he could do besides somebody like Joe Ronan, 2 very similar players, Kitchen's doing really, really well. It's great for him. But as they always say, you just never know how players are going to develop. They develop at different ages. So I always say, never write off a young player too early. We can be very quick to judge and write people off. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Liam Kitching here. But ex-Leeds players helping Leeds this season in the league. And we'll get to some ex-Leeds players when we talk about Plymouth as well. I will throw some comments up in the chat. I'm not going to read them all out. I'm trying to keep my eye on my notes as well. So I have to try and do 3 things at once tonight. So bear with me. Stick with me. I appreciate it. But there are some stuff going on. Will there be a risk for Bamford at the weekend? We'll talk about Pat Bamford if he's past fit. We probably won't know much more detail on the players' availability until Daniel Farke does his press conference tomorrow. Nonto, full page picture of him, 2 hands in his ear, scoring a goal. Got a picture frame. That's excellent. Great to hear that. So yeah, that's the interesting part. In terms of the teams that are up against Leeds, keeping an eye on Southampton and keeping an eye on Ipswich as well. Southampton play West Brom tomorrow night, Friday night in the late kickoff, and on Friday. Ipswich go to away to Swansea. 2 games that could help. Swansea played away, they played against Leeds. Ipswich will have an easy night there. Southampton at West Brom. Carlos Corberán could potentially do Leeds United a massive favour. Hopefully he does. As been said on Joe's show this week, a massive low block, everyone on the goal line for 90 minutes would do Leeds very, very well. In terms of team news, we don't have a huge amount of updates until Daniel Farke's press conference tomorrow. It's a late one this week. Byram, we're expecting an update. Leeds removed Sam Byram from the squad last week as a precaution. He had a slight tweak in his left hamstring. The club said it was nothing serious, but given the volume of games they were going to have over the next couple of weeks, it was important to protect certain players and to remove him. Junior Firpo's been in excellent form so far this season. If you're throwing score predictions into the chat, what I'm going to do is try and star those score predictions, and I'll stick them up at the end of this. We'll have a bit of a Q&A. So any questions you want to ask, stick them in the chat, and I'll try and get them before the end of the stream. Yeah, so Sam Byram, we'll see what happens with him tomorrow. I don't think there's a huge rush. Junior Firpo, as I said, has been really, really good form. Connor Roberts is there as well, can play right and left back. Also, Jamie Shackleton should be back in contention hopefully tomorrow as well. He was given compassionate leave last week for the birth of his child. I've seen some people put some very silly comments about the fact that he went to his birth of his child rather than going to a Leeds match. Just some people, you scratch your head sometimes. Patrick Bamford had a ligament issue picked up in the warm-up for the Swansea game, which saw him miss out on that game. They said at the time they don't think it's too serious, but that they want to be cautious with it. They've got to make sure it's okay. It's been a difficult one for Paddy. We only said at the start of this week that the important thing for Leeds was to get Patrick Bamford happy and to get Patrick Bamford fit. They got him happy and they got him fit. And now, unfortunately, he has an injury. So we'll have to see what Daniel Farke says tomorrow on that. Hopefully it's nothing too major. But I did think Joel Pirou did a really good job against Swansea, especially in the first half. And I pointed the first half because I did think there was a drop-off in Leeds' performance for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half. So from a starting perspective, I thought he did a really good job leading the line. We'll talk more about Joel Pirou and the positioning that's going on there at the moment. So we'll have a look at that. Pascal Stroke still out another week or two, possibly for Pascal Stroke. They said it was tough to really put a date on it. He's finished his treatment. He is doing individual training, but they're talking about when they get him back in full team training. So more information on that tomorrow, but he will probably miss this game and probably miss next week's game as well. We'll talk about Joe Pirou in a second. If we talk about Plymouth for a second, this is an interesting one. Adam Forshaw is touch and go for the game. He hasn't played against Leeds this year due to being cup tied in the cup matches. But in the situation of this weekend, it now looks like Adam Forshaw has picked up a slight injury as well, which is part of the reason Daniel Farke didn't offer him a new contract in the summer because of the injury situation there. It's a slight injury. The manager of Plymouth basically said that he relies on the senior players to tell him what their body is doing. He relies on them to have the knowledge and information about how they feel and leans on their expertise in that situation. Says Forshaw had a slight niggle and they decided to just withdraw him just out of precaution. So there's that one. Darko JB, another Leeds player on loan at the moment, having a really good season at Plymouth. Darko JB, this loan move has been a really beneficial one for him. A couple of players have done really well going out on loan this year, but JB's really looking good in the same division as Leeds. He's putting in some really good performances. He's been called out for playing particularly well, 90 minutes again during the week. And but he is obviously tied, can't play in the game because he is on loan from Leeds. You can't play against your parent club. Moving on to some other nice stats and some interesting stuff that's come out over this week. Dan James won the PFA Fans Player of the Month for January. A really, really good month for Dan James, even with the injuries he's had this month. Came back in, looked okay in the little cameo appearance he had against Swansea coming off the bench. Another option, just gives Leeds so many options off the bench. We really have the depth in the squad now that we were looking for at the start of the season. I think it's really clear there as well. An interesting one from the midfield too. So a lot of people talking about, well, what happens if Pascal Stroke is fully fit? Does he come back in? What happens to Ethan Ampadu? Does he go back in the midfield? Does Ilya Gruev drop out of the squad completely? Which I think will be really harsh on Ilya Gruev because I think he's been phenomenal since he's come into the team. An interesting stat between Glenn Kamara and Ilya Gruev. They've both, between combination of the two of them, have completed 785 of 824 attempted passes. In the last 7 games, they have a combined passing accuracy of 95.3%, which is monstrous. That is an incredible stat for the two of them, considering the way Leeds are playing, the speed, the tempo Leeds are playing at the moment. It's absolutely nuts that they've got that. You look at Joe Rodon's passing accuracy out of the back as well. He's in the high 90s as well. So it's a really, not only are we a very fast playing team right now and an exciting team to watch, but the accuracy of the passing that Leeds are doing are being drilled really, really hard by Daniel Farke, and the quality in what Leeds are doing is really, really high right now. So it's great to see that. Another thing I saw today that I wanted to kind of bring everyone to speed on, in case you haven't seen this, Leeds are 10 points now better off than they were at the same time during the Marcelo Bielsa promotion campaign. And we were in second that time as well. We were behind West Brom at that stage, and we did pip them at the end. And I know there are people in this, subscribers on this channel, who think Leeds will win the league this year. I think it's a bit of a task. There's not a lot of games left, 14 left. There's a 12-point gap at the moment. So Leicester want to go on a hell of a bad run. But I think if you look at how Leicester have played this season and the consistency that they put in all year long, I don't think you could begrudge them a league title if they did win. I think they've won it on merit. And the Leeds, for us, the most important thing and the number one thing is to get out of this division and get back into the Premier League. Let me know in the chat what you think about Ilya Gruev and Glenn Kamara. What would you do? We talked on Joe's show about picking the Dream 11 or the best 11 if everybody was fit. And we did an hour and 43 minutes. And we just couldn't really decide what the best team was, which is, again, a testament to the strength and depth that we've got there. Kamara and Gruev have been absolutely phenomenal. I've heard people say last night as well that, Ethan Ampadu going to centre back is what's kicked on Leeds' really good run of form since the new year. And you could also say Ilya Gruev going to midfield as part of that. And then you could also say, again, Georgina Rutter moving into the number 10 position has been part of that as well. I think Joe Rodon's a huge part of that. I just think he's great. There is information that Joe Rodon signing as well today as well. So there's some information on today's daily news. You can check that out if you want it as well. In terms of stats coming into this game, Plymouth Argyle are winless in their last 9 games against Leeds United. They've drawn 2 and lost 7 of their last 9 games against Leeds. The last time they won against Leeds was in 1989. Leeds' first visit to Plymouth since November 2006 under Dennis Wise in the league. It was under Dennis Wise back then. We won 2-1 goals from Robbie Blake and from Eddie Lewis, another American player that we all liked. We all liked Eddie Lewis. I loved Eddie Lewis, but a different time, the dark days of Leeds United. There have been 10 goals scored in all competitions between Plymouth and Leeds this season. All 10 goals have been scored by different players. From a Leeds perspective, Dan James, Joe Pirro, Jaden Anthony, Willie Gnonto, Chris Somerville, Jorginho Rutter, and a hardy OG. But I think we give that to Ilya Groove, don't we, from the corner? If Hull City are getting that goal last night, that was very clearly an OG. The shot was going wide. If it doesn't take the deflection, I think we can give Ilya Groove the goal from the corner, which for me, love it. Love it. Leeds have won their last 5 away games in all competitions, scoring 15 goals and only conceding 1. We last won 6 in a row away between May and September 2019 under Marcelo Bielsa. The comparisons between Farke and Bielsa continue to stack up side by side. You put all these things together and you think, promotion's going to happen, isn't it? Like, it is. It's going to happen. You have to feel like it's going to happen. Leeds manager Daniel Farke is unbeaten in his last 17 championship matches against teams who were newly promoted to the championship. He's won 13 of them, drawn 4. He last lost against Sheffield United in January 2018. So again, this man knows what he's doing when he gets to this part of the season. I love how everyone feels at this stage. Are we strongly optimistic about Leeds promotion, automatic promotion chances, or do we think there's still the playoffs are still there? I'd be really interested to see what people have to say about that. Some nice comments about Eddie Lewis. Eddie Lewis, the best American player to play for Leeds. Definitely probably one of the most liked. Robbie Rogers was liked as well. He had injury problems at Leeds as well, but I always liked Robbie. I thought he was a good pro, really good pro, as they say. So yeah, there's some interesting things there. The one I want to talk about was the Joe Pirro situation. So we've had chats with people this week about this, and a lot of people are saying Pat Bamford as the out-and-out number 9 has been really, really strong for Leeds, and especially allowing Jorginho Rutter, Chris Somerville, and Willie Gnonto to come into their own this year. And I agree with that. 100% agree with that. People saying that Joe Pirro coming in now can't do that job. Now, what's interesting for me, and the point that I made on Joe's show yesterday, was at the start of the season, when we had Jorginho Rutter playing the number 9 position, we Joe Pirro playing in the number 10 position. We said all year, anyone who watches this channel on a consistent basis was probably fed up listening to me saying, just swap them. Just swap them around. It's clearly obvious. Put Pirro on the 9, whether he's a 9 or not, put him in the 9 as a goal scorer and keep Jorginho Rutter in the 10. The difference in Pirro against Swansea was that actually had happened. Pirro played as an out-and-out number 9 against Swansea, where Jorginho Rutter played as the out-and-out 10. Jorginho Rutter dropping into that 10 is very different to Joe Pirro. He gives a lot more space in there. He covers an awful lot more ground. He's a lot more creative. He drags players out of position. He the kind of player that he is draws attention from players. So if he drifts out wide, fullbacks are likely to go to him. Centre backs are likely to be drawn to him. Midfielders. And that creates space in behind for the likes of Somerville, for the likes of Gnonto. This low block situation that Leeds struggled with at the start of the season isn't really been a thing since the turn of the year, because I think of Rutter going into that position. He drags players out of position because of his creativity. And when Somerville and Rutter get that space to run into, there's no defender stopping them running at them. They've been phenomenal when they've got the chance. And then you've got Dan James and Jaden Anthony coming off the bench as well. So the options are stacked in those positions. But I really think Jorginho Rutter has been a fundamental part of that. What I noticed against Swansea was Pirro stayed in the number 9 position. He wasn't dropping in. But if you go back to the start of the season, Rutter was dropping back into the number 10 position where Pirro was, and that creates congestion in that area. It makes it much easier for defenders to defend in a tight, compact area. The fact that that's not happening now, with Pirro is now occupying the 2 centre-backs, like Bamford has been doing since he's come into the team this year, and it's allowing Jorginho Rutter, the two wingers, to have that space to play in. So what I think is, Pirro's got a very strong chance of starting tomorrow, but I wouldn't be against seeing Mateo Joseph start tomorrow either, because he's been very good with what we've seen of him. And again, when he did start the game a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, he was very good in that game as well. And once you're surrounded by the better players, I think he is a strong option. Let me know your match predictions, score predictions in the chat as well. We'll get to them before I wrap up. This won't be a long stream. I'm on my own. It's usually 30 minutes, but I'm on my own, so it won't be. But yeah, that's the big thing for me. I think Joe Pirro is an out-and-out number 9, and I think Jorginho Rutter as a 10. It's slightly different. Pat Bamford presses slightly faster, is active more regularly than Pirro is. Pirro can be a bit more static. He can be slower to initiate triggers for presses, but he did press very well for me in the first half against Swansea during the week. And Jorginho was excellent. I mean, he was disappointed coming off in that game that he didn't score. It was an interesting one as well, that he was annoyed coming off that he hadn't scored. He wanted to contribute for the team. I love that about that as well. Willie Gnonto disappointed. He didn't get a hat-trick as well. So 2 players coming off the park in a very strong win, disappointed. That's a standard. The standard's here. It's a really strong standard Leeds have been setting this year. So it is really good to see. So yeah, I'm going to rattle through a couple of the score predictions. Arthur, 2-2. And 2-1, you've changed your mind, but that's okay. We'll go 2-1. 2-2 is probably for the West Brom game, I'm assuming. Graham says we're going up defo. I think we might be. West Yorkshire Retro Gamer, Rudder, excellent 10 he has been. And also your score prediction for the game, 2-1 to Leeds. And Owen is saying a 3-1 away win to Leeds with Plymouth scoring. Leeds have only considered 1 goal since the turn of the year. So, yeah, the clean sheets have been massively, massively important. Renda saying Leeds 2-1. Steve is going with 2-0 to Leeds. Stuart Smith, 2-1 Leeds. Les, 2-1 Leeds. The 2-1 is just the standard Leeds score, isn't it? Like, we always have that pessimistic vibe in us that we're going to concede. I'm the same. I always go with a 2-1. It's the sitting on the fence and going, yeah, we probably concede, but I think we can score goals as well. Brendan's going for 4-2. Leeds conceding 2 goals in this game, but scoring 4. 1-0 to Leeds. I'm assuming Leeds are winning that game, Matty. You're not saying Plymouth are winning 1-0 because they're the home side, but I get you. Philip Anderson leads 4, Plymouth 1, and slow, steady Steve 1-0 win to Leeds. Yep, Graham Stone is going 44-0 win. And Bandy, who thinks we're going to win the league, you're the one. You're the one that thinks we're going to win the league and beat Leicester, and we're going to hang on to that because if we do that, mate, it's a hell of a call. It's a hell of a show. 5-0 Leeds from Bandy. James Widdop is saying 5-0 to Leeds as well. 2-1 as West Yorkshire Retro Gamer saying a very Leedsy score. It is. We always think we're going to concede a goal, always from set piece. For me, it's always, I get very nervous no matter how well we're playing and how well the game is going. I get really nervous when we concede a corner or a free kick in and around the edge of the box. It really does get me. I'm a little bit on edge. I've got to be honest with you on that. Sakamoto Sensei saying 3-0 to Leeds. Georgie going to score. I think he'll score. He's been excellent. Like, I mean, he has been contributing more than just goals and assists. Neil says, wonder if this has happened before, that all 3 teams related went straight back up. I think Stats covered this last week. I think it happened once, possibly once, or not at all. 2-1 from Arthur. We are robots. Rudder loses the ball and puts us under pressure. Shooting's awful as well. Not writing him off, but he just needs to tighten up. I think you've got that from a lot of young players in that attacking position, mate. I think you look at Somerville as well. He can overcarry the ball at times. It's a decision making from young players, and that gets better with age. So at least we can look forward to that improving over time. Frank will knock that out of the system, but we don't want to take the creative edge off these players. They're fun to watch. We want to make sure we keep them fun to watch. Arthur 2-1. Who we got here? Shipper, how's things, mate? 3-0 Leeds. Just keep a clean sheet from Garrett. 100% Garrett. Clean sheets all day. What do they say? Clean sheets win you titles. I'll get you promoted in this case. So that's what we look for here. Steve is saying he'd take a 1-0 going in off a defender's bum. Anything. Just take the win. And we are robots 2-0 as well. Leeds should have got 8,000 tickets for this, Arthur. I think you're probably right. We could fill anywhere. If you've got an empty stand in your stadium, give us the tickets. Give us the tickets and we'll do it. And Bandy is saying we either win the division or stay in the division. Yeah. As long as we're not in the playoffs. I don't really care. Let's just get up. We keep a clean sheet and we win. That's from Stripper. I agree with you. And then Nick is saying, would be nice to have a decent set piece ourselves. We don't have a set piece taker, free kick taker. We just don't have one. We really, really don't. Michael, if Everton and Forest are deducted points and are relegated, those 2 teams will drop like a stone. I think you're right. I think Forest could be in big, big trouble. Hull as well, actually, in our division, because Hull have invested. They got a sniff at the playoffs and they've gone for it in January. They've really gone for it. The results since then haven't been great for them. So they could be in big trouble next year. But I think if Everton do go down, they'll have a very big stadium with a lot of expenses and a big financial problem. 777 Partners take over as well. They own a couple of other clubs around the world as well. And if you look up 777 Partners clubs, there's been some very negative comments and news stories about how their finances are run those clubs as well. So not in a great position themselves. Arthur wants to win the FA Cup. European, let's go. Let's get to Europe. Off we go. Leeds keep on winning. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. We don't want the playoffs. Neil, we really don't want the playoffs at all. And then we've got a show here from Philip. Come on, Archie, get yourself a Leeds goal. Yep. I think Archie scores this. Archie's going to score this year, isn't he? Like, he's not going to go the rest of the season without scoring. Like, he is going to score a goal. I want Mateus Joseph to score a goal again this year. I was screaming at the television the other night when he was closing the goalkeeper down. I really want him to nick one off the keeper and tap it in. But I think he will score as well. I think these kids are going to get a chance. They're great. It's great to see them. There's talk of Liverpool trying to get Archie Gray and Harry Gray both at the same look for 50 million. But I think you wouldn't get Archie's left leg for 50 million right now. So I think we're on about it. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Folks, not an awful lot to cover in this one. We've gone 20 minutes. It's a match preview. The point of this is to keep it short and concise. Thanks very much for tuning in and watching it. Stats will hopefully be back next week. As I said, he's off playing football with Danny Mills right now. Git. Lucky Git. Like, I mean, seriously, the people that man knows. He was doing work with Simon Grayson the other day as well. He's got a book coming out as well, Stats as well. So we'll be advertising that on the channel as well. So keep an eye out for that. And I know Rocco Dean has a new book out as well, which is worth having a look at as well. If I get some information off Rocco on that, I'll put it out on Twitter as well. You can check that out if you want to. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you want to do it, you can do so. That'll help the channel to grow. 23,000 subscribers at the moment. And if you want to help the video to grow and be seen by people, you can do so by liking the video and leaving a comment on it. Massive thank you as always for everyone that supports this channel. I always say it, but I genuinely mean it. I really appreciate everyone that's helped this channel to grow. I did one video on this channel. I was in a bad headspace and did one video for the type of content that I wanted to see that I didn't believe was out there. And then this has happened. So I really am grateful for everyone that's watched the channel. It's given me really a strong focus on what I want to do going forward in my career and my life as well. So I really appreciate everyone helping me with this. Some big things to come hopefully towards the back end of this year as well. Myself and Joe are planning some things as well. Keep an eye on the channel for updates on that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do it so as well. It's at @iJerLynch. You can check that out if you want to. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Fingers crossed West Brom take some points off of Southampton tomorrow night, and Ipswich have a struggling task away at Swansea. Swansea need to get the finger out after the game against Leeds this week, so fingers crossed that they get a reaction and Leeds can just slightly pull away. Southampton is one for me. West Brom's a big game. I think Southampton have got the toughest run in of all the teams in the top three. Ipswich probably the easiest run in Leeds, probably second, and that as well. Leicester have got an easy run completely, but Southampton have to play Leeds, Ipswich, and Leicester in their remaining games. So possible of 9 points dropped there if everyone goes well. And then we've got a big game next week. We've got the the Leicester City game next Friday as well. If you're into wrestling, me and Joe Wayman are planning on doing a wrestling stream on Saturday as well. You can check that out with more details on Joe's channel as well if you want to see that. So have a fantastic rest of your evening. Thank you very much for watching and sticking with me. And I will be back tomorrow morning for Leeds news. If there's any floating around, we'll get something. We'll have a chat. See you then. Mind yourself. Bye.